Hello there and welcome once again. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the election of Sani of the All Progressives Congress as the governor of Kaduna State. Delivering the judgment on Friday, the three-member panel of the appellate court held that the tribunal acted in error when it depended on inadmissible evidence to order the conduct of supplementary polls in 22 polling units of 4 local government areas where the exercise was deemed inconclusive. The court stated that a key witness called by the People's Democratic Party during the tribunal hearing merely gave hearsay evidence as he was not present when the malpractices he alleged happened. The appeal court held that the allegations of deduction of votes, stuffing of ballot boxes, and mutilation of sensitive electoral materials made by the said witness were borne out of hearsay. Also, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has annulled the election of Speaker of Bauchi State House of Assembly, Abubakar Suleiman, as member representing Ningi Central Constituency in Bauchi State. In its judgment on Friday, the appellate court ordered for a rerun in 10 polling units in the constituency in Ningi local government of the state. Meanwhile, the Speaker urged his supporters and constituents to remain calm following the Court of Appeal ruling in Abuja, which annulled his election. A statement signed by his spokesperson, Abdul Ahmed Burra, said that although the judgment is unfavorable, as a Muslim, he believes in fate, thus he accepts the judgment in good faith. Also, the Nasarawa State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has hailed the appellate court judgment that upturned the decision of the Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal and affirmed Governor Abdullahi Sule as winner of the March 18 governorship poll in the state. This is contained in a statement signed by the party's state publicity secretary, Otaru Douglas, and made available to newsmen in Lafia. The party in the statement welcomed with excitement the appeal court decision, saying it had brought relief to the people. The tribunal had on October 2nd annulled the election of the governor and declared David Ombugadu of People's Democratic Party as the winner of the election. Also, the People's Democratic Party chairman in Rivers State, Desmond Akawo, has resigned. His resignation letter surfaced on Friday, barely a few hours after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed him Federal Commissioner representing Rivers State in the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Akawa, in the letter dated November 22nd, 2023 and addressed to the PDP acting national chairman, Ambassador Umaru Damagum, said his resignation is connected to his appointment. He noted that he has since handed over to his deputy, Aaron Chukwuemeka. Also, the National Economic Council has resolved to set up a National Flood Management Council to be domiciled in the office of the Vice President, which will oversee a roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness and response in Nigeria. The Council's resolution came on a day it endorsed special agro-industrial processing zones, SAPZ, in 7 participating states in the first phase of a 5-year development plan. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Floods have continued to pose a growing risk to states across Nigeria, primarily because of inadequate flood planning, unwise human settlements in flood-prone areas, and serious disruption of natural processes. The last 3 rainy seasons in the country have been particularly devastating, which is why the National Economic Council set up a committee to work out a comprehensive roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness and response in Nigeria.
For emergency livelihood support to persons at risk of flood disaster during 2023 rainy season. Secondly, to review existing reports and plans relevant to the mitigation and response to flood disasters in Nigeria, as well as the report by the National Economic Council Committee on Flood.
Meanwhile, Kano, Imo, Kaduna, Cross River, Kwara, Oyo and Ogun states and the Federal Capital Territory are to be designated special agro-industrial processing zones. It is expected that the program will create 3,000 jobs in the participating states from site construction and a collective 500,000 jobs when production and processing start. It will also improve the livelihood of 100,000 farmers in the participating states with the development of agribusiness MSME clusters for primary processing of agricultural products.
The program is, in a sense, like the name connotes, it's a special agro-processing zone. It's a one-stop shop where we will site it in peri-urban areas, not exactly in urban areas, and where you will have both production, aggregation, and processing.
The council also keyed into the health sector renewal program, which it hopes to finance by a specially dedicated pool of funds to drive investment in healthcare value chain. The centralized facility financing is expected to help the program improve the service readiness of 17,000 primary healthcare centers and 774 secondary facilities. The aim is to deliver universal primary healthcare free to all beneficiaries.
17,000 primary health centers to be put on a threshold of viability, 774 secondary facilities, that is hospitals, in addition to some tertiary institutions, just to make sure Medicare is brought close to the majority of Nigerians.
At the end of September, the excess crude account stood at well over $473,000, while the stabilization account had a closing balance of 37.597 billion naira. In the same vein, the current value of the natural resource account is 144.683 billion naira. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
And to Delta State now, activists in the state have decried the alleged marginalization of persons living with disabilities in the electoral process. Now, according to them, despite the provision in the Electoral Act, when they decide to vote or be voted for, the process is cumbersome, if not near impossible for them. Jonathan Awanyai has more on the details.
The call for simplification of the electoral process to enable persons with disabilities participate easily follows challenges encountered by them in the not-too-distant elections in the country. They therefore want those tasked with the responsibility of conducting elections to be intentional about not disenfranchising them through rigorous processes that are not PWDs friendly.
And of course, which also involves you and I, should become more conscious of the fact that life doesn't begin and end with only me. There are people who cannot hear. There are people who may not be able to see, impartial or full. There are people who are inhibited by, mobility, limited by their limbs and all of that. And these people also have a right to live because they also have breath. Now, what are we able to do to make sure that life is really worth living, especially in the third world like in Nigeria? When it's time to vote, how comfortable, how realistic is this experience for them? As regards education, for example, in Delta State, there is no special Braille school. So it simply means that if you're blind or visually impaired, you don't have the right to go to school.
Some people doesn't have hand. How would they thumb print? How would they write? So create this environment so that people with disability can feel as a citizen of a given country.
We receive them and take them along, whatever we are doing in this country. Because for we to marginalize them in this country, I think it is not fair. I advise our leader at least to make sure that at least whatever Nigerians are doing, they should also consider disabled people in Nigeria.
They called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, political parties as key drivers of the democratic process and governance in Nigeria to take the lead in encouraging the full participation of the PWDs as citizens with equal rights in all party processes, procedures, and activities. Adding that there is a need for more people with disabilities take on more executive, political, and leadership roles at all levels. They urge the electoral umpire to offer priority voting to the marginalized populations. Jonathan Awaye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
And away from that, 6 people, 4 Fulani and 2 Gbagi farmers lost their lives in a fresh clash between Fulani and Gbagi vigilantes in Beji, Boso local government area of Niger State. Daily Trust gathered that the crisis which occurred on Wednesday at Beji Weekly Market had created tension among residents of the town. This is the second time Fulani and vigilantes had clashed in Beji Market. The first clash on November 8, 2023 claimed 2 lives and 7 others hospitalized. Some residents who spoke with Daily Trust on condition of anonymity said the incessant banditry activities in the area since July this year had degenerated into tribal clash. Residents of Beji told Daily Trust that they didn't find it easy with incessant kidnappings and killings by bandits between July and September, forcing some of them to resort to passing nights in ceilings of their rooms for fear of being kidnapped or killed by bandits, whose activities became incessant during the period. They said with intervention of security operatives who began regular patrol of the Beji-Zungeru Road, the situation had become calm in recent time. However, the Niger State Commissioner for Homeland Security, Bello Mohammed Agai, confirmed at the Nigeria Air Force Base Mekunkele during the skill acquisition program organized by NAF. He said the state government was meeting with stakeholders with a view to address the recurring crisis. Also, Nigeria's capital city has been experiencing a surge in crime despite the deployment of state-of-the-art surveillance technology to curb criminal activities. From petty crimes to kidnappings, Abuja, like most states in Nigeria, is going through a security challenge that, if left unchecked, will upend the stability of the seat of power. In this report, News Samson follows the failed surveillance program and the security gaps in the FCT. Take a look.
Abuja is Nigeria's most developed city and one of the top 5 fastest growing cities on the African continent. With its concentration of power and ever-growing population, security is at the heart of requirements for sustainable development. Over the years, the security of the federal capital has increased with the state-of-art technologies like surveillance cameras, which many experts believe will improve the capacity of operatives to mitigate criminal activities.
Number one, it allows the security agencies to have eyes where ordinarily they wouldn't have eyes. Number two, it allows them to respond to security circumstances where they, for instance, need to respond. Then during investigations, for instance, the incident has already happened and they need to review how that incident happened.
The territory is gradually becoming a hotbed of crime and criminalities, with kidnappings, robberies, and one-chance attacks spiking. Security specialists believe the omnipresence of surveillance cameras will improve the safety of lives and property.
What is lacking, and that's the message I'm going to ask the minister to look into, is to look for ways to get the community buy-in. The security forces are not going to solve the problem on their own. They need the buy-in of the local communities, and to do that, he needs to incorporate especially the traditional rulers and then several leadership components.
Living in Nigeria's capital comes with socio-economic challenges, but security, according to residents, should be a top priority.
The reform of the institutions, the security agencies, and then the people themselves as well, because I think one person cannot just overpower everybody. Even a place where a car snatch is being experienced or something, and then some other persons there actually join their hands to help out, I think it will go a long way stopping it and not just waiting for the security agencies.
Because in foreign lands, CCTV camera is necessary. It helps a lot in terms of to review issues, review like how the things that was, omitted. You could just take it and review and look at it very well and see how it looked like.
Nigeria's endemic security challenges means what is happening in Abuja is reflective of a national security issue, and it will take a holistic approach to deal with it effectively. With proper funding, coordination, public support, and awareness, security may be restored in Abuja. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Nigerians advised to embrace saving for rainy days as inflation rate increases. This and of course more news after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome to Trust TV, where we document the Nigerian story. Our programming showcases the rich culture and diversity of Nigeria. We strive to amplify the voices that make our nation unique. Our programming is designed to take you on a journey through the different tastes of entertainment in our country. We showcase the best of Nigerian culture, from traditional craft to cutting-edge technology. Our team of expert journalists are dedicated to unveiling the intricacies of our culture and telling the untold stories that binds us all. And let's not forget the food. Nigeria has diverse and flavorful cuisines, some of the favorites to millions across the world. What is Nigeria without its people, their passions and their talent? Trust TV is not just a channel, it's a platform that brings you closer to everything that makes Nigeria great. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Thanks for staying with us. This is the news update on Trust TV. Now recap of some of our major stories. Court of Appeal affirms Sani as Kaduna governor as appeal court sacks Bauchi speaker, orders rerun. 6 dead as Fulani vigilantes clash in Niger. Moving on to more stories now. The 5th batch of 50 graduates out of the 1,100 indigenous students that graduated with first class and sponsored by the Kano State government to study abroad have been airlifted to India for their master's degree programs. The beneficiaries departed Malam Aminu Kano International Airport for Lagos on Friday, from where they would be airlifted to India. Speaking immediately after the takeoff, Commissioner for Higher Education Yusuf Kofarmata, who witnessed the departure of the students in company of other government officials, said the beneficiaries, when they arrive in India, would be taken to various universities, including Sharda Symbiosis, Mewar, Sri Sai, Swarnim, and also Kalinga for commencement of their master's degree programs in different disciplines. Kofarmata noted that the students are first-class graduates who were meritoriously selected based on their performance in their undergraduate programs, adding that they would study in internationally competitive areas of professionalism to bridge the manpower gap in the state and across the nation. The commissioner stated that information received Nigerians have been advised to embrace savings for rainy days as inflation rate increased to 27.33% in October from 26.72% in September of 2023. While stakeholders in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, said the development has negatively impacted aspects of Nigeria's economic progress, pushing many to the poverty line. Salis Lawan has more on the report.
According to some stakeholders, the current economic realities of Nigerians need to be properly checked, especially for the benefit of peace and development of the country. They said with the high cost of living in the country, which they believe was caused by increase in the fuel pump price, it has become difficult for them to save.
No matter how tight it is, because you know that that is the only thing you fall back at, you must try and save. You don't finish all you have, no matter how tight it is. In as much as economy is so tight that some people don't even have a square meal on their table, you still try and save, because that will be the only thing you fall back to. Who will give you if you don't save? Everybody is tight.
So the economic that we are in actually needs service, because we are told that savings is keeping for the future use. And if there's nothing that you save today, that means tomorrow you don't have anything to use. So saving is important and paramount as far as the economy of this nation is all about.
However, some stakeholders emphasized on the need for citizens to be prudent towards their financial management.
They are the people who are going to benefit from savings in future, so that they will be able to use this, inculcate this savings habit to rely on themselves, to even employ themselves in future, because they may be having surplus funds that they can inject into productive uses and create more employment for others.
Analysts have predicted that inflation rate in Nigeria is expected to hit 30.00% by the end of 2023. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Moving on to some other stories, some residents of Delta State have attributed the rise in gender-based violence in the country to the absence of stiffer punishment for offenders. According to them, once the law begins to punish offenders, perpetrators of the act would break the circle of violence. Speaking to Trust TV, they expressed dismay that majority of perpetrators are familiar individuals who continue to abuse innocent citizens due to lack of political will by governments at all levels to prosecute offenders. Here's the report.
One of the most potentially traumatic forms of abuse worldwide is gender-based violence, including physical and sexual violence against women by an intimate partner or others. Although a majority of the victims and survivors are women, girls, and boys, men have also been known to be affected. Those who spoke with Trust TV in Asaba, the Delta State capital, opined that gender-based violence has assumed a frightening proportion in the country.
Being abused by persons who are close to them, who they are familiar with. So they wouldn't want others to hear, they don't want people to know, because of the fear of society. In Nigeria, people stigmatize them. Like, look at this one, who was abused by her own sister or brother or her cousin, for instance. A teenage girl can be abused by her own relative.
Beating up his wife, just a single provocation. You remove his teeth, you beat her to coma. Has been a problem. But Nigeria government has not taken that as a concern.
Your wife is your own body. As it's already said in the Bible that the wife and the husband are one. So seeing a wife and a husband having domestic violence in the house and for allowing the man raising violence on the wife, I see such people as cowards.
While calling on victims to speak out whenever they encounter any form of sexual or gender-based violence, they urge the injured party to continue raising their voice until laws and treaties prohibiting gender-based violence are properly implemented. Jonathan Anwai, Trust TV News, Asaba.
On the international scene, a 4-day Gaza ceasefire agreed by Hamas and Israel has taken effect for the first time after 7 weeks of war. The Gaza Strip endures night of intensified bombardment from air, land and sea ahead of the start of Qatar-mediated truce, the UN said. Another Palestinian journalist, Amal Zuhd, and family members were killed in Gaza City, according to the Wafa news agency. Meanwhile, Israeli military raids continued overnight across the occupied West Bank, where some 211 Palestinians have been killed since October 7. More than 14,800 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7. In Israel, the official death toll from Hamas attacks stands at about 1,200. Also, Nigeria and 16 other countries have converged in Abuja to campaign for tickets to the canoe event of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. That's on sport. The competition is the first Confederation of Africa Canoe Sprint and Para-Canoe qualifiers, which began at the Jabi Lake on Tuesday and will end on Saturday. The other countries involved in the competition are Algeria, Angola, Djibouti, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Morocco, and Mozambique. Others are Sao Tome, Senegal, Seychelles, South Africa, Tunisia, and Uganda. Speaking on the competition in Abuja, President of the Rowing, Canoeing, and Sailing Federation, Admiral Festus Pobeni, who was flanked by the President, Confederation of Africa Canoe, Joao Manuel da Costa, Alger Alfonso, and other officials of the body expressed Nigeria's readiness to host the rest of Africa. In his address, CAC President Joao Manuel da Costa saluted the Brazilians by the Nigeria Rowing, Canoeing, and Sailing Federation, saying the challenges which trailed the championship opener could only make Nigeria better. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update at this hour. Do well to follow us across all of our social platforms. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching.